Okay. So, yeah, what the hell is the deal? Okay, so first of all, for those who are concerned, I'm not stopping Dark Souls. I'm still going to keep doing Dark Souls once a week. I'm going to beat it again for everybody. Um, so, yeah, this is a one-off because this is something I've been meaning to do for a little while. I've been meaning to go back and replay this game too. So I'm going to do this as kind of a side one where we're going to go and look at Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. This is so much to say there. Yeah, so we're going to go back and check out Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, and we're going to give it sort of the deep analysis and angry treatment because it's a really interesting game to talk about, and it's one I've been meaning to replay. It's kind of interesting, and we're playing the Wii Trilogy remake version, but we're going to be playing it on veteran mode, so nobody nobody has to make fun of me for playing it on easy mode. Because in case you didn't know, the Metroid Prime games were remade for the Wii using the different control scheme, using the Wii control scheme, and they did make the first two games substantially easier, especially Echoes because it was hard, but they left the original difficulties in and they recoded them as veteran difficulty. So we're going to go ahead and replay them on. We're going to go and play Echoes on veteran because, that's the way you do it. And Echoes is kind of an interesting... It's an interesting experience for me because as much as I loved Prime, which Metroid Prime, the first game, came out in, 2002-ish? 2002, I think, yeah. Must have been right around there, right around that time. And Metroid Echoes came out, and I guess, I want to say 2004, 2005. I really should look this shit up before I start, shouldn't I? But Prime 2 came out in 2004 or 2005, and I hated it. I absolutely could not get into it. I hated playing it. It wasn't fun. And I didn't like any of the decisions that they had made in the game. And so never finished it. And I only finished it shortly after I did my stream playthrough of the first Metroid Prime. So... And honestly, after that, I started replaying it recently, and then I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should stream this. So I think my sensitivity... Whoops. I don't think I need to adjust any of this shit. The only thing I'm going to take a look at is the brightness. I think I cranked the brightness up, because this game gets kind of dark. For a lot of reasons. But, yeah, so it was kind of, it's now I'm realizing what this game does. I mean, I'm not going to say that I love it. It is not my favorite in the Metroid Prime trilogy. But at the same time, and I think it really does some stuff that I don't like. But it's really interesting to look at how the design decisions affect the experience of the game. And just to catch up, because Metroid Echoes is a little bit more story-driven than the first game, which is one of the changes they made. So it does follow on from Metroid Prime 1. So just as a reminder, in Metroid Prime 1, Samus Aran, the bounty hunter, explored the planet Talon 4, where she met her old nemesis, the Space Pirates. The Space Pirates had discovered a meteorite that had wiped out all life on Talon 4, and were experimenting with the radioactive element inside, an element known as Phazon. They were also experimenting with the life-draining aliens Metroids, and ultimately that led Samus to confronting the beast Metroid Prime, which was a superpowered, Phazon-mutated Super Metroid. In the end, Samus defeated it, actually using some of the Space Pirate Phazon technology to power her suit, and when she defeated Metroid Prime, In the end, as it died, it consumed her Phazon suit, and the last scene in Metroid Prime was from the puddle of Phazon goo that had been Metroid Prime, an ominous dark hand rising up with an eyeball in its middle. And that's where we pick up the story with Metroid Prime 2. Veteran. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to explore the whole story. We're gonna go ahead and redo the whole thing, and I am gonna try and 100% it. Just like, no, Darabim, it's not SAX. SAX is a completely different clone of Samus. Did the stream just go out? Okay. Nah, it's just dark screen. That was a long dark screen. If you pay really close attention to the map of the globe, you'll notice that it is symmetrical across the equator. just fun little fact about planet Aether there. So as you can see, due to an electromagnetic storm around planet Aether, Samus Aran's ship has been damaged. It's crashed, and so that just like in the first Prime, and I'm going to assume that you already have seen my Prime 1 video and not review too much of the stuff going on. It is a first-person shooter, obviously, though it's classified as an action-adventure game by Nintendo, not a first-person shooter. We do have the same mechanic from the first game, the scan visor, which allows us to examine objects in the environment. You'll notice this time that they're much more prominently highlighted, so it's very easy to pick out what is and is not scannable. We're not looking for those little orange squares on everything. So if we scan our ship, if we scan our ship, it tells us our ship has been damaged, auto repair functions are initiated, and that we can return to our ship, save, reload, etc., etc. And because I am going to 100% the game, we are going to get all the scans in the game, because that's how I roll. So if you go back to the top of the ship, Samus will enter the ship, all of your energy and ammunition will be reloaded, and you'll have the option of saving the game. This is using a Wiimote for controls. So I'm pointing the Wiimote at the screen to aim around the screen, and the nunchuck D-stick is for movement. And I accidentally stepped on the... I took half a step and ended up stepping back on the platform. So I'm going to assume you also caught the basic story that a group of Federation Marines has been lost on this mysterious planet, Aether, which is in the Dasha region. And we crashed into this mysterious temple. This tells us that each of these statues has a power grid and a motivator unit. And And red scans are considered vital by the game, whereas blue scans are considered informational, and green items are items that we have already scanned. Okay, and directly ahead of us... Now, this is obviously the game giving us the tutorial again. So directly ahead of us, we see this little webbing with this egg sac that contains acid. And this sort of fills in for the space freighter in the first game. You remember the pirate frigate, where it trains us to use the beam, to use the scan visor, to jump. This is actually a potted plant. It says, oh, this was used for decoration because it's in a pot, obviously. And we also encounter our first thingy that looks like this, and we will learn what these are. We're going to encounter a lot of them with this sort of purple glowing thing coming out of it, that purple glowing hologram. What it tells us right now is that we can't translate the alien text, and so we can't use this door. Okay. And meanwhile, we're just going to follow the path that we... because we can't go that way, so we'll go this way. And this triggers our first cutscene. This game has a lot of cutscenes, unlike previous Metroids. And now we land down in this region. And we can see that there's a lot to scan. We discover these are Galactic Federation. I'm just going to summarize the freaking scans. We're not going to read all the ones except the interesting ones. So these are Galactic Federation crates. These devices are atmospheric scrubbers from or ventilation units from a Federation starship that have been converted to give out pesticide. And here we find the bodies of these things called splinters. They've inhaled the pesticide and they have died. And finally, we see this, the Galactic Federation security gate, which is sealed up in front of us. By scanning this device, we will unlock the gate's security locks, which we can then shoot. And again, it's training us to target and shoot and do, standard tutorializing stuff. But we also can get a sense that, okay, the Marines, they moved their supplies down here. They started taking apart their ship. They set up pesticides to deal with something. So we're obviously on the trail of them already. We can see the bodies of more of these splinters. And this one is actually interesting because it says, creature was hit by an unusual amount of weapon fire, more than necessary to kill it. Marines are not prone to such overkill. So we start to get this ominous sense that there is something more going on. That's a cargo pod gate that has been converted into a security gate. Hey, Papa Poop. Okay, and they did leave a device outside there, which... So now we get into this area, and you can sort of look around. Just the environmental storytelling is really good here again. You can sort of see how these computer panels look like they were ripped out of the walls of a ship. That this deck plating was basically laid around to cover cabling. And to even out the floor, and that this whole area was basically very hastily constructed by the Marines. One of the best things about Metroid Prime is the way the environmental storytelling, or the way the environment tells its story. By scanning these computers, we learn more about what was going on. Their communications are offline, their pesticides are online, their security gates are giving them problems. But still no sign of the actual space Marines that crashed here. 3 troopers were lost. This is an interesting one. They were unable to open the gate when one of their pesticides started up, and they died. It appears that the locks malfunctioned on them. So the Galactic Federation has not been having a good time here. The GFCM, the Galactic Federation Marine Corps. This is the first map station in the game, similar to the first Metroid Prime. And actually similar to... it was actually Super Metroid that introduced the map stations that give us a map of the area. And I just want to say this, too. The maps in the Metroid Prime series, as far as 3D games go, are some of the best maps in any game ever. They really are just awesome. The way you look, the way you can scroll around them, manipulate them in 3D. You can see where you're going. They keep track of where you've been. They mark important things, like, for example, S's are save points. T is, well, we don't know what T is, but we will learn that T is those devices we can't translate just yet. And we can see we're down in this little Federation Marine, this little bunker down here. And then there's more caves. They're just fantastic maps that really help you navigate, which is important in exploration-based gameplay. We can actually also blow apart the crates. And what's interesting is we do have a lot of Samus's... Richie, we're still in the tutorial area. So we still have most of Samus's abilities from the previous game. We do have the space jump, which allows us to jump and then jump again. We can jump and change the direction of our jump in midair. We have the morph ball form. We can drop bombs in morph ball form. We have a missile launcher. We have a regular beam, and we can charge up our beam for a high-powered shot. So we're actually pretty high-powered. We also have the Varia suit. And okay, yeah, and now things get a little bit grisly. And it's actually interesting too that the game is sort of this room is actually doing something interesting, but let's look around and see what we see first. Okay, so first we see these little splinters. Okay, these are worker splinters, as the book tells us, or as the logbook tells us, and the logbook actually keeps the data much more well organized than in the previous game, and it also tells you your percentages of all the data, so it's much easier to 100% it. And there's actually a reason for that. We'll come back to that when we talk about the design of the log mechanism, because we are going to really dig into the design of the game. So you can see that this is classified as a creature from the planet Aether. It is a ground creature. They are classified as tunnel prowlers, and ultimately the species is worker splinter. These are low threat level creatures that create webs. They're supposed to, give the sort of impression of like normal insects, like worker insects. Okay, notice the game is telling me sometimes I need to look around to find targets. It's got these corpses suspended above me. There are worker splinters up in the air. And the target the pod that will break that webbing is also above me. So this whole room is trying to train me to look around my entire environment, which is something that Metroid Prime, the first one, didn't really focus so much on getting you to look around and getting you to look up. Okay, like until... Darabim is asking why they are so translucent, and I don't know why the worker splinters are translucent. So this is a Metroid trooper. He died of cardiac arrest, or a Metroid trooper, a Galactic Federation trooper, a Marine. He's a space Marine. And he died of cardiac arrest due to extreme fear. This one I believe died of, he was killed by friendly fire. I like that her scan visor also editorializes a little bit. It's like if Wikipedia had this little editorial comments like, whether it was an accident or not remains to be seen. Her scan visor is bored, so it's inventing murder plots. Standard human, cause of death difficult to determine, digestive fluid present within armor, subject is being broken down into simpler matter. So it's basically describing how insects digest their prey by secreting fluids on them. Excessive blunt trauma to numerous critical points. 30 individual attackers involved in this trooper. Okay. Terminated biophore. High levels of unknown toxin. Numerous micropunctures in armor. Trace elements of toxin around these wounds. Um, so we're already kind of getting this sense that something pretty horrible happened to these troopers. And what's really interesting too is that these little insects are so weak. And they basically do not attack you unless you jump into them, and even then they just do contact damage. So you kind of wonder what was going on, and if these troopers were or if those little bugs were really what was going on. Can you shoot the bodies down? I don't think so. No, but when you shoot the bodies, they do jiggle. They are physics objects. Though I'm really sorry that I did that. Oh, also, I guess we could scan the door. By the way, I like that the door actually tries to provide this explanation for why you have to shoot the doors. They basically have these energy fields on them so that they won't get opened up by like animals. Okay, and we get away. And this is the room that teaches us how to use the morph ball, but first we'll look around. We can see another trooper. This guy is red. And this gives us... We can see that there is a series of trooper logs. And one of the interesting things that the organization system for the logs does is that it tells us what else... It has now told us that finding the logs of all the Galactic Federation troopers is a collectible. By telling us that, oh yeah, this is one of the trooper logs. There were 2 forces of troopers. So it's basically spelling out a goal for us just in the game mechanics. And GFC Bennett, or I guess Gunnery Sergeant, is that his rank? Gunnery Sergeant, there's something wrong with the lock systems in this section. They failed twice, locking us out until someone came along to let us in. If it happens again while we're playing bait for those things, well, at least we'll go out fighting. So basically, he got locked out. All right, somebody's telling me that my changing of the game title didn't take, and I don't know why.